I have the August Open Gate Quilt subscription box here, and I cannot wait to open this up and see what projects I'm going to be working on today. There are always two projects in this box, a small project and a large project, and then some other goodies to enjoy while quilting. So let's open it up and take a look. All right, so here we go. We have everything packaged nicely. We have our paperwork that lets us know everything in the box. This month it looks like we have an extra fat quarter here. It's really pretty color. It kind of has a watercolor feel to the design, some handwriting in it. I absolutely love the flowers. This is really, really pretty. All right, so it looks like our notion of the month is the Gypsy Quilter Seam Guide Washi Tape. I love the Cluck Cluck sew tape that allows you to sew like corner to corner. So I'm excited to give this one a try, and I definitely will give it a try. So you can see the lines on it to kind of guide you through sewing. So that's the Gypsy Quilter Self-Adhesive Seam Guide Washi Tape. If I can use it in the project as I work on it, I will, so that you can see it in use, and I will link to it in the description of the video if you want to give it a try. So I'm going to try to find, here is our Aurifil thread. It is 50 weight in cream. We always get some thread in our box. All right, and so my add-on here is a fat quarter stash buster. This is where we get 4 coordinating fat quarters and a fat quarter pattern. So if you would like an add-on like this, you just pay an additional $12 a month and you'll get these 4 fat quarters and the pattern. And if you would like, for the large project in this box, you could also pay an extra $12 and get the backing fabric for the back of that project as well. So let's take a closer look at the pattern and at the fat quarters. So here is the add-on pattern. Looks like a bunch of half square triangles to create this beautiful ripple design. It's called Ripple 90 inches by 105 inches. And then here are my fat quarters. Very fall. I like this a lot. Fall is my absolute favorite season. I love the flavors of fall. I love the colors. So there are the fat quarters for the add-on, and then we'll move into the projects. So the small project is corner bookmarks, and it's pre-cut kit. It's fabric for the front, back, and corner of the bookmark. Fusible interfacing. Instructions are also on opengatequilts.com for the fusible interfacing. And then we got the to be continued page markers in coordinating colors. So these are to help you mark where you need to continue reading in your book. And then here is the fabric for the corner bookmarks. And then we also have the pattern in here. So I will work on this project here in this video, in this unboxing, so you can see how it comes together. And then we also have the large project here, which is called Spinning Spools. It's 24 inches by 24 inches in very neutral colors. I love fabric like this. It can fit in any decor in your house for these type of wall hangings or table toppers. So here is the Spinning Spools project finished. And I'll of course show you all the fabric and everything as I work on the project, but let's get started on the small project first. Love the little page markers. They're really cute. All right, so this is a pre-cut kit, so everything's already cut to size for me. So I have the interfacing here, and I'm going to press it to the back of one of the squares that is going to be the back of my bookmark. So I have kind of this sticky feeling side, or bumpy. It doesn't really feel sticky. The bumpy side to the back of the fabric. So I'm going to press that in place. All right, so I have 2 other squares of fabric here, and I'm going to choose one that I want to be the kind of corner piece that goes on the page. So I'm going to take that piece and I'm going to fold it in half on the diagonal with the pretty sides facing out, and I'm going to press it. All right, and so with the right side facing up of the square that I haven't done anything yet with, I'm going to place the fabric that I folded on the diagonal in one corner, and like I said, it's facing upright. And then I'm going to take the piece with the fusible on it, and I'm going to place it with the wrong side facing up, and so all the right sides are together on this square. Now we're going to sew all the way around the square, but I need to leave an opening for turning. And I like to mark an opening because if I don't, I'm going to completely forget and sew all the way around this and forget to leave an opening and have to pull stitches. So I like to go ahead and mark it. It just gives me something to see and to make sure that I leave that opening. So I'm going to start at the marking that I made, and I'm going to back stitch just so those stitches don't open up when I turn this later. And if you want to, you can put some pins in here to make sure that it holds in place. All right, so I sewed all the way around here except at that little opening that I left to turn this. All right, so I'm going to trim the corners here just so that when I turn this, it lays nice and flat. Make sure you don't cut through any of the stitches when you do that. All right, so now I'm just going to turn it where everything is right side out. I use my little purple thing on the end here. It'll be really the best side to push these corners out. I find that the pointy edge can sometimes just rip right through fabric, so I'm going to use that to get these corners pressed out nice as I can get them. Usually when I go to top stitch something like this, I will put on my my foot here that is 1/8 inch. I'm not going to here just because this is such a small project, but I really like using that for top stitching generally because I can stay even and lined up. But on this, I think I'll be able to eyeball it pretty well to go around. All right, I got them pressed out pretty well. I'm gonna try to use this pointy edge on this side where there's a lot more fabric because there's a few more layers of fabric over there on that end. I think I got this pretty good where I will be happy with it. And then I'm going to give this a good press. I'm going to turn these open-ended side in, and then I'm going to press this really well. And I'm just noticing you could turn this, like if you decide that you wanted it the other way, you could turn this flat to either side depending on how you like the look of it. I'm going to leave it on this side. I think that's a nice contrast in color, but I'm just seeing that. So here would be a good place to flip it to the side that you prefer the look of more. So I'm going to press this really well. Now I'm going to put my stitch length up to about 3. That's where I like the look of the top stitch. And then I'm going to stitch all the way around here. I'm actually going to start stitching, I think, in the middle here, because then I can just cross over my stitches a little instead of back stitching. Make sure you stitch over that opening really well. Catch all the fabric there. Let me know in the comments if you have a subscription to any different quilt boxes out there that come monthly. I would love to know which one you subscribe to, which one you enjoy the most. Especially curious if it's one I haven't tried, because I know there's some out there that I probably haven't heard of. So I would love to know which one you are enjoying. All right, so I have a book here. Let's say that I read to this page. Put my bookmark on here. And then we have these to be continued. I could put, let's see, say that I started reading there. You could honestly probably use these as bookmarks as well, but they look really cute with the fabric. So fun project that you can sew up quickly. Gives you a good idea for maybe a gift. If you have somebody in your life who loves to read, a bookmark like this would be a lot of fun, and you could give that to them, and you could give the bookmark to them along with a new book or something like that. So definitely a fun little sew here, and very, very easy to put together. All right, and so here is the spinning spools project. This is the larger project in the box. Here are the gorgeous fabrics that we got. So this fabric is Blackbird's Nest by Kansas Troubles for Motive Fabrics. Here is the pattern that we are making. All right, so the pattern does show that we are going to be using the Gypsy Quilters tape. So I'm going to place this on my machine so that I can use it. I love that often the notions that we get in this box are something that we will be using right away. I love that because then we get to know if it's a product that we actually would like. And we get an idea of how to use it. How many times have you purchased something that you saw someone use and you didn't get to use it right away or didn't need to use it right away, and then you kind of forgot what it's even for? So I try to put the blue line up to the needle hole just so I know that it's kind of lined up straight. And then I cut it away from where the feed dogs are. You don't want the tape over the feed dogs, but I usually have to place the tape over them to make sure that the blue line is lined up where it needs to be. All right, so I'm gonna get all this fabric pressed and get it cut. I'm gonna look for one of these. I assume is the binding, and it will tell you in the supplies the cut width. So this one is fabric 1, and so I assume this one is for the binding because it is cut thinner. So I'm going to cut this one first. Move all my stuff out of the way. I'm going to press this one that is for the binding first and cut it just so that I don't accidentally cut this one in place of fabric 1 because then my cuts won't be right. All right, so I'm going to cut just to get a straight edge here, and I'm going to try to get as little waste as I possibly can. I have the fold down toward me on a line. Now I have a straight edge, and let me see, binding strips. So I need 3 binding strips for this one. And we're cutting them I'm not going to give any measurements. I'll try to edit it out if I accidentally say a measurement because this isn't my pattern. So there is one strip, and then I'll have two, and then we're looking for 3 strips here. So I'm lining up the line that we're cutting the binding strips to, and then moving the ruler out of the way and cutting along the straight edge of the slide lock. So one more. Okay, just enough fabric. There we go. So I have the binding cut. I'm going to fold that, set it to the side, and then we'll get started on the pattern pieces. All right, so here is my fabric one. I'm going to press it and then get to cutting. All right, so again, I'm going to fold the fabric since I'm cutting in kind of a tighter area here, and line it up, line the fold up on a line on my mat, and then I'm going to trim off a straight edge here. Then I'm going to cut 2 strips. And then we're going to do 1 strip that is a little smaller. Or 2 strips that are a little smaller. Oh, I almost cut that wrong. Always double check. Move that to the side because I'm having trouble seeing through it to where I'm marking. All right, so now we're going to subcut these strips down into squares. Need to get a straight edge. And then we'll cut all of our squares. So we're getting 8 squares each time we cut. All right, so I think I got all of the squares I need there. So I'm going to bring these down and subcut those. Do the same thing, get a straight edge, and then I'm going to cut all my squares. Double check and make sure I'm cutting the correct size. All right, so I have fabric 1 cut, and now I just need to get the rest of my fabrics cut. So I'm going to kind of work the same way, get all my cuts together, and then I'll show you how to piece together one of each of the blocks in this pattern. All right, so I have all of my squares cut, and I paired up my larger light number 1 squares with the light dark squares, and the dark larger number 1 squares with the light number 1 squares, and then I did the same with the 2, the fabric number 2s for light and dark. So what we're going to do is take the light larger squares and the dark smaller squares from the fabric 1s, place the smaller squares in the corner, and sew right across the diagonal. And that gypsy quilter tape is going to come in handy so that we don't have to mark corner to corner. So I'm lining up one corner with the needle and the other corner with the blue line down the center and just sewing across. And I'm going to do this with all these. I'm just going to chain piece them. So the seam tape really does make quick work of sewing these. You don't have to mark corner to corner on all the little squares, so it is very, very helpful. Again, I'll link to this tape in the description of the video. So once we get these sewn up, we're going to trim a 1/4 inch away from the stitched line. So we're going to trim and then we'll press that seam. All right, so here are the 2 different blocks we are sewing. We are going to be making 16 of the B units, so the blocks with the darker background, and then we are going to be making 20 of the blocks with the lighter background. And you can see the spool come together here. They are really, really cute blocks. Now, Monique's pattern will have all of the pressing instructions for you, so just follow along with that. All right, so here's the A unit pressed and finished. Such a cute block. All right, and so here is the B unit all pressed and finished. This is going to be so cute. All right, so I'm going to work through getting all of the blocks completed and bring the top together so that I can show it to you all pieced. All right, so I have the top all finished. It is so cute. The little spools are absolutely adorable, but you're probably noticing something that's a little different from mine than from the quilt that was designed. And that is the colors in the corner are a little bit different. So let me explain. So when I was cutting, I had my fabric folded and a few of my cuts had some of the selvage in the seam allowance. I hoped that I would be able to just look past it, but when I got the block together, I just couldn't. So what my initial thought was, since I didn't have enough fabric, was to piece the excess pieces together and move forward with making the block, just replace this. And that's honestly what I normally do. I only had 2 little squares that looked like this that I needed to be fixed. So I had plenty of leftover fabric to piece together to fix it. But then I thought, what if for some reason someone ends up miscutting a lot of the fabric? It can happen. You accidentally cut to a different size, misread the ruler, whatever it is, it happens. So I looked through my stash and found some fabric that I really liked. And if I only replaced 2 blocks, I didn't think it would be balanced. So I decided to put them in the corners. And I actually really like how it turned out. It has like a little pop of difference at the corners. And I just hoped that sharing this would give you some ideas for if you have a kit either from this box or a kit that you picked up from a quilt shop, and if there isn't enough fabric for some reason, or if it gets miscut, that you could come up with some other ideas to make it work. Now you can always find some more fabric, right? Monique always gives us the fabric line in her paperwork, so we can look for the fabric and purchase more, or just contact her and see if she has any extras. You can always do that. But if you're working on it and want to get it done, hopefully this gives you a creative idea for finishing up your quilt. All right, so that is this month's Open Gate quilt box. Again, it has been another great month. I love the bookmarks. I love the page markers. It was definitely a fun sew putting this together, and absolutely always look forward to this subscription box. Now, if you would like to subscribe to this box, you can go to opengatequilts.com and sign up. I will put a link to it in the description of this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.